Washington are being written about those as we speak in the legislature, but they're still missing the physical exam component of a true doctor-patient relationship. So that whole world is in conversation. So I don't know if it's going to change anytime soon, but do not bill insurance companies for telemedicine or Skype visits at this time. They are not covered services. Those are cash services that a patient can opt to pay for. But you're required to see a patient in person to be able to do physical exam at this point with insurances.
Excuse me, Mona.
Yes.
Just an update. One of our WANP members recently sent in what appears to be a new policy from one of the big blue companies in this state that authorizes payment for telemedicine and virtual visits. But we haven't been able yet to verify how that is applied, if it applies only to certain benefit plans or to all covered patients. So this is, as Dr. Mona said, this is very cutting edge. It's brand new. I would treat it as too good to be true initially until you really know if it applies to a particular patient with a particular benefit. And that's probably the same thing you need to ask if you are going to not bill someone who asks you not to charge their insurance. At a certain point, your contract with the health plan is what is going to be your limitation on what you can or cannot do.
Absolutely. And I try to remind my students and everyone I ever talk to about coding, you have got to read your contracts. If you sign a contract with an insurance company, they spent a few $1 million making sure that their contracts are pretty ironclad. You're then held responsible to whatever is in there. So you need to sit down and read their inclusions, exclusions, what you may do or not do to get terminated from their plan. How long do you need to keep records? Some insurance companies only require you to keep records for 7 years, and other plans require you to keep them for 10. So it is incumbent upon you to understand those things. And also, like Bob said, with the telemedicine, I'd say for right now, it may be too good to be true. And historically, telemedicine was doctor to doctor, like say a surgeon in a metropolis area is consulting via computer with a rural surgeon who needs some help and guidance in the middle of a surgery. So it's doctor to doctor, not necessarily doctor to patient. So we have to wait and see what they mean and what are the parameters around all of these things. For the time being, I'd say collect cash for them because there's no write-off if you collect cash. So moving on, and we can cover some more of that at the end if there's more questions. Let's talk about follow-up visits. Follow-up or return office calls are a little more straightforward than new patients. So primarily we're going to be talking about 213s, 214s, and 215s. I see a few 212s, but really that's the occasional person who pops in for a blood pressure check for their hypertension, or they pop in because I just started them on birth control pills and we're double checking their blood pressure. So we don't see a lot of those. Primarily, these are the pieces that we're doing. So follow-up visits require at least 2 of the 3 components for billing. So of your history of present illness, physical exam, and medical decision making, you need to cover the points needed for at least 2 of those 3 to be able to bill at a certain level. My caveat here is that medical decision making, or your complexity,